Can I do some of the soundtrack now? Ooga-chucka, ooga, ooga, ooga-chucka, ooga, ooga. I'm hooked on a feeling. I'm high on believing. Do that you're in love with me. Lips as sweet as candy.
So I can go away if you want for a couple of minutes.
I'm having my New Year's Eve party right here.
Good.
So it's the end of 2014, and that means it's only time for one thing. What can that one thing be, Russ?
Eat away all the food.
We did that already.
Yeah, we did.
What is the one thing that is left to do before the year is out?
Watch more movies.
No!
Watch all the films we
Tell
didn't get to
you
see.
which ones we like the best. Absolute more. It'll be interesting to see if you watched our mid-year review back in July. Christ. We'll link that down below if you didn't see it, to see if how things have changed, whether anyone's come
I've
in,
forgotten what I put
happened.
where. So
Well, there you go. But first things first, let's spit out, much like a rapper spits his rhymes, our 20 to 11.
Mr. Turner,
Okay.
Paddington, Calvary.
Calvary, I didn't see that one. You watched that?
I did without you.
Seul.
I know, quite.
Wow.
Only Lovers Left
I didn't know
Alive.
we were allowed to go rogue.
We are, not very much so.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Calvary, Only Lovers Left Alive.
Yeah.
The Lego Movie.
Everything is awesome.
Blue Ruin.
Yeah.
Starred Up.
I didn't see that either. Yeah.
Tim's Vermeer.
Didn't see that.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Sadly, I saw that.
And Godzilla, I think.
The Lego Marvy? The Lego Movie.
Mm-hmm.
Do it.
No.
Come on.
No.
Come on. Just go.
Just-
Everything is awesome.
You've done, there you go. It's done. Right, move on.
Under the Skin. Godzilla, Mr. Turner. They came together, which I did think was funny. I like that one. Dallas Buyers Club. Because straight men get AIDS too. Wolf of Wall Street.
You might entitle that with the message of that film. But...
Wolf of Wall Street, Pride, which we only watched the other day, which I really liked, Interstellar, and the Grand Budapest Hotel. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this thing.
Okay.
At number, what's the first one?
Number 10.
Number 10.
Another number. It is 71.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah.
Which was very enjoyable. Another Jack O'Connell film.
He's done
in
well
my
this
top
year,
20.
hasn't he?
Yes, he's
Yeah.
been quite the young star. And we still have yet to see Unbroken, which I hear
haven't
he's
seen
quite
that.
good in.
Yeah.
But no, 71 was a fantastic little contained thriller set during the Troubles. Had you?
In Northern Ireland.
Very
Liked it a
powerful,
lot.
very strong, very well acted, very good central performance.
Good job.
Very tense, all round, very well executed.
My number 10 was Gone Girl. I was a big fan of the book. I don't think the film quite lived up to the book's heady heights, but I think it did a really good job considering often book adaptations fall flat on their face. I think it did really well. I think mostly all good. 10. Number 9.
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Well, it was my favourite big blockbustery summer film, surprisingly enough. A good central performance, motion capture performance from Caesar. I think it took the film, it was a slightly different direction from the last Rise of the Planet of the Apes. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be going in, and I think ultimately the best of the big budget summer releases overall. For me it was.
I might disagree with that a bit later. But my number 9 was American Hustle. Do the hustle.
Going back to early January.
Do the hustle. I could just do that all day.
How long
No, I still think it was great. I just thought everyone in that cast was fantastic, on top form, and loved the set design, the costumes, the whole world that was created there. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was thrilling. I just loved it. So great ensemble piece from the beginning of the year. Then number 8.
The Raid 2, or The Raid Redemption, which
I
was...
didn't see that.
I tried to get it to come along, but you
Said
refused.
no. I said
Which
no,
is a
Russ.
shame.
No to your Rage
Well,
2.
you missed out on a very fun, very exciting, very dramatic action movie film. It was a big step up from the first film, which was which you fell asleep in.
I did.
So yeah.
My number 8 is Blue Ruin, which is a film, an early film that we reviewed on the Popcorn Club, and it was a really great subverted take on a thriller genre. Really enjoyed where it went. I didn't know anything about it when I went in. Thought it was going to be one sort of a story, ended up being something completely different and taking a different turn, a really interesting turn, and was really, really well done. Good job all. Yeah. Now number 7. Russ, what did you have?
Nightcrawler, which has a fantastically dark and dastardly central performance from Jake Gyllenhaal, wrapped around a sort of really intense thriller.
So my number 7 was Paddington, one that we've recently seen.
Not quite as dark.
No, not on the same level. But it was just really, really fun, sweet movie, and definitely the best kids film I've seen this year, by far. And it was just, I wasn't expecting it to be that good, and it just blew me away, I guess, in that respect. It was really very funny, really well acted, the animation was on point, and really, really nice adaptation of the books that a lot of us remember so fondly. Like, it obviously done with a lot of love and respect, so I really liked it. Number 6.
Inside Llewyn Davis, which was another one from early on this year, but it was the Coen brothers on form yet again. I think it was a fantastic soundtrack, nice folk. If you're not a big fan of folk music, you're probably not going to get along with it, which is maybe why you didn't.
I have Guardians of the Galaxy, which for me, I know you chose Dawn of the Planet of the Apes as your big summer blockbuster that made it to the top 10. Guardians of the Galaxy, for me, was by far better than that, just in terms of entertainment factor. I just thought, again, I think it might be a case of expectations. Like, going in, I had no expectations. I'd seen a trailer, I think, but didn't really know what it was about. Certainly in no way acquainted with the source material of the comic.
I don't think many people were actually going in.
No, but I just thought, I remember seeing the trailer and being like, oh, this looks a bit weird. Like, how's this going to work? It's got the guy from Parks and Rec, animated raccoon in some tree thing. What the hell? Voiced by Vin Diesel, who I'm not a massive fan of. Didn't know who any of the other two were. Supposed to be, and it was just wonderful. It was just really, really funny, really heartfelt, really well played by everyone involved. The character of Groot just took everyone by surprise, I think, and some of the storylines don't make sense or whatever, but I just thought it was really fun and really well done, and for something that I had such low expectations going in, it just blew me out the water. So it was really great. I loved it, and the soundtrack was awesome. Number 5, we're in the top 5.
Halfway there. Under the Skin.
Okay.
Which
it was in my top 20, but not in my top 10.
No, I
do like it though. I think the reason why it's not in my top 10 is it's not a film I would watch over and over again, and that's not necessarily a criteria for being in my top 10, just to point that out, because there's some in my top 3 that I'm not necessarily going to watch over and over again. But
there is definitely a rewatchability to it. The soundtrack is fantastic, and unlike a lot of other things, and I think the film...
Weird and haunting, isn't it, from what I remember? It's got some really standout haunting scenes in it, definitely. I mean, the baby on the beach is the one that just gives me nightmares. Really, really clever use of imagery, I think, in that film. Really clever. And Scarlett Johansson's really good.
It's all kind of this central performance that's on the one hand quite blank, but it's also all about trying to find oneself and the kind of the projection, how other people project onto you, and the image, and all sorts of interesting things wrapped around a deliciously dark sci-fi.
You've used the word delicious and wrapped around, like you feel like food might be on your mind.
Is it dinner time? Yeah.
My number...
licking my lips while we're doing it.
My number 5 is also a Scarlett Johansson film, but not the same one. So it's Her. I know you've got it higher up your list, haven't you? really liked it. I think it's been a bit of a controversial film this year. I think some people have either loved it or they've really not got it or not liked it. And I think I am in the loved it camp. I just think it was a really interesting concept for a film. I don't think it was ridiculous or misogynistic in any way, because I think there's elements of the film that address that it's applicable to any sex. It was just happened to be from a man's point of view in the central story. But I think it deals with the universal theme of love, and what it is that people fall in love with, and I just thought it was a really intelligent, I guess, look at what could be the future. I'm going to leave you for my iPad. Good day. So now, what are we on? 4.
A little film called Frank.
Ah, it's mine too.
Oh, is
We're
it?
both number 4.
Samesies.
Samesies.
Oh dear. Yeah. Which, again, features a good, strong central performance.
And a good, strong soundtrack.
From
There's
a
a theme.
From a man in a papier-mâché helmet mask, but also
Helmet mask.
good castings all round. It was equal parts charming, funny, touching, witty,
Yeah.
all the other superlatives, and again a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there's a bit of a theme here. If it's going to make our top 10, it's got to be somewhat heartfelt, somewhat strong characters,
Got to make us laugh in ways we weren't expecting.
somewhat raised our expectations or blown our expectations at the water, and have a good soundtrack. That's all you need. Filmmakers, take note for 2015. I loved Frank. Again, didn't know anything about it going into it really. Not that familiar with the stuff that was inspired by, so I don't know anything about what's his face? Sidebottom. Frank Sidebottom. Not familiar with any of their work, but I just thought it was a really, really lovely story at the end of the day, and something that speaks to a lot of people's experiences of coming of age, not literally, but the themes that it explores. And yeah, thought Frank was a lovely character. I'd tour with him. Number 3. What's your number 3?
12 Years a Slave. Made it into the top 3.
Yeah.
For just sheer weight of drama. It's the big heavy hitting serious drama on the list, but it was just,
It was a cracker. Well, it wasn't actually, it was quite sad. It was a damp squib. No, it wasn't. I don't know what the depressing version of a cracker is. An air raid siren.
ultimately somewhat uplifting tale of humanity persevering despite all the terrible things that other humanities do to humanity.
Yeah. My number 3 was one you've already mentioned, which is 71.
Okay.
I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a gripping film that made me understand a piece of history in a way that I hadn't fully appreciated before. And it was phenomenally played by Jack O'Connell, that character. And well shot, well done. Now on to number 2. That looks like 4. I mean 2. Close but no cigar.
Boyhood, as fantastic and kind of groundbreaking as the film was, it's still an epic, nearly 3 hours long, and I think it's a sort of film that I'd come back and watch bits and pieces of it, almost like treat
a whole movie.
Well, treat some of the segments more as individual pieces rather than as a whole, and maybe I might come back and watch half an hour at a time, or a different half an hour, or different bits of it, as well as maybe coming back to the whole, but not coming back to the whole as much. But it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because my top 2, I don't think either of them there'll be things that I watch again and again and again for differing reasons.
Well, what is your number 2? Let's get on to that.
But
they're
in my top 2 just because I think they're brilliant pieces of filmmaking, again, for different reasons. So my number 2 is 12 Years a Slave. So your number 3. It was at the top spot at the mid-year review. I remember that because the very next week something came along that knocked it off, which was quite funny. Yeah. 12 Years a Slave, I just to echo what you've said, I just think it's an absolutely harrowing, relentless depiction of some awful, awful treatment of humanity in history, and it just brings that, you know, horror of that time period and what was going on there to life so vividly. You're right there with them, like, and you just come out of the cinema feeling like, you know, you've really been through something, and it takes a lot. It's a lot harder to do that in film making than people, I think, appreciate when you go and watch a film at your local multiplex and gorge on cinema week after week, watching terrible film after terrible film that gets put out. To have something like this come out that makes you see the world in different ways and makes you feel like you've experienced something, that for me is great filmmaking, and it definitely did that for me. So that's my number 2. I feel like there should be some sort of fanfare.
Well, I can maybe put that in. Oh, that'll work, yeah.
Number 1.
Her.
Okay, so you've slammed that right in there.
I did. That's made it to the top
Why
of
is
my
that?
list.
Why is that better than all the other films then?
The film was a really interesting combination of kind of character study, romance, and sci-fi film, all wrapped up into one strange, quirky ball of fun. It looked fantastic. I think the performances...
Those trousers didn't.
The trousers were amazing. I almost forgot about
Let me stop you there. The trousers.
You were supposed to get me those for
and I
Christmas.
told you could make them yourself.
Oh. Joaquin Phoenix was fantastic and truly believable as a man who... and the portrayal of a man who's falling in love with a machine, and then also issues surrounding artificial intelligence and this weird quasi futuristic Los Angeles was just beautifully portrayed.
So my number 1 was again one I'm not gonna
I think I know what this one's gonna be.
Watch over and over again, but I just think is a phenomenal piece of work in so many ways. And it was your number 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's Boyhood. I love Richard Linklater, and everything that I've seen by him I've really, really enjoyed and cherished. Boyhood is a very, very similar kind of genre, I suppose, to the where the Before trilogy was coming from, in that it's doing stuff over a period of time with the same actors, except this time it's doing it in one film, which for the most part is a logistical kind of epic undertaking. No one's ever done it before, so it's groundbreaking in that respect. But it's just a wonderful thing to watch on the screen, actors playing, fictitious parts, but aging into their characters and aging into those parts over a period of 12 years. I don't know if we'll ever see the likes of it again. So I just, it reminded me, I mean, I'm a big fan of like the 7-Up series that they do, where they revisit, and that's a documentary series, so it's slightly different, but just seeing people grow up, I think I really enjoy. So to see that happen in a fictitious film, I think is a really, really amazing thing to undertake, and I think they pulled it off.
But sort of the most realistic portrayal ever to happen.
You can't ever have a coming of age story be more realistic than this, because they literally did come of age as it happened. I'm a sucker for a coming of age story, if ever there is.
And it wasn't just as much about the kids coming of age,
and the
which
adults.
they did, but the adults learning and growing throughout their lives.
It's just lovely. It's just lovely, lovely, lovely. It made me, it's again similar to 12 Years a Slave, but for very different reasons, made me realise why I love film and how powerful and amazing film can be, and why I go and see so many of them to find things like that. So good job, everyone. Have a shiny bauble. I can't get it off the tree, but it's here. So that was it. 2014. Good year, right?
Done and dusted.
Enjoyed it?
I think so.
There's been some naff films, but some really good ones as well. So
yeah, we need to go there.
Yeah. Let's see what 2015 holds. Merry happy 2015. Thank you for watching this year. If you're a subscriber, we really appreciate it. Tell your friends, get your buddies over here. We want to have a conversation about films and why films are so awesome. Right?
Do we?
I think so.
Okay. Fair enough.
I think that's the point of this. We hope to see you next year, and keep watching, give us a thumbs up, and we will see you with our next video soon. Thank you. Merry Happy New Year. Using, well, one of the same. No, both of the same. No, what? One of the same actors. Is it using any of the same actors, or I just made that up? What's happening?
Have you seen any of these films? This is